Good morning. If our children would like to come sit down here with me this morning, I've got a story to share with you about Clara Barton, who was the founder of the American Red Cross, for whom Peggy here worked for so long. And she's quite an extraordinary woman. So, all right, go ahead and have a seat. So she was a Universalist, and she was the founder of the American Red Cross, as we know. And she's Peggy's favorite Universalist because of Peggy's work with the American Red Cross. And she grew up in a time when most women only worked inside their homes caring for their families. She was a very strong and courageous woman. And Clara's family went to the Universalist church every Sunday. And Clara never forgot the Universalist teachings. She learned that God is love and that all lives are precious gifts that should not be destroyed. Now, Clara was the baby of the family, and because of that, she learned many things at a young age because her older brothers and sisters were always teaching her things. But when Clara was 11, her brother David fell from the top of the barn and was badly hurt. The doctor said he would need lots of care to get better. And Clara begged her parents to take care of him, and they agreed. And Clara took care of him for 2 years, giving him his medicine and feeding him. It was Clara's first job as a nurse. And once Clara was grown, she began work as a school teacher. And she ended up working in Washington, D.C. But then the Civil War started, and Clara began to see soldiers coming home hungry and badly hurt. The government was not able to help so many soldiers. So Clara used her own money to buy clothes and food for the soldiers. Now, Clara began writing to newspapers and asked people to donate blankets and medicine and other supplies to the soldiers still fighting in the war. But soldiers were still dying, and Clara knew there was more she could do to help. Now, many times, the soldiers died because no one could get them to the hospitals in time, and there were no women nurses to help them. In those days, people thought that women were not strong enough to take care of soldiers or be near war. But Clara knew she could do it. Now, at first, the army laughed at the idea, but Clara kept asking until she got permission. And with a wagon full of supplies, she came to a battlefield in Virginia at midnight. The army doctor who was in charge was very tired and had run out of supplies. So Clara went right to work, cooking and taking care of the wounded. And later, the army surgeon wrote, "If heaven ever sent out a holy angel, she must be one." And after that, Clara was known as the angel of the battlefield. For 14 battles, Clara brought supplies and took care of wounded soldiers from both sides. She nursed anybody who needed help because she still believed what she learned in her Universalist church, that every life was precious. And when the war ended, 80,000 men were missing. Every day, Clara would hear from women and children who wanted help to find their loved ones. President Abraham Lincoln asked Clara to help him work on this problem. And with money that President Lincoln gave her and some of her own money, Clara set up an office to help families find their loved ones. And Clara needed to raise money to keep the project going. Since there was no TV or radio in those days, people would buy tickets to hear speeches about what was happening in the country. Clara began to give lectures about what she learned during the war, and large crowds came to hear her, and she was able to make enough money to keep her office going. But after 2 years, she lost her voice and had to quit. Now, Clara's doctor suggested she go to Europe to rest. In Switzerland, Clara learned about a new organization called the International Red Cross. This organization helped soldiers in battle no matter whose side they were on. And Clara went back to the United States and talked to the American lawmakers and asked them to join this organization. She wanted them to sign the Geneva Treaty. And this treaty was a promise by all the countries who signed it. The promise meant that during a war, doctors and nurses could take care of the sick and wounded soldiers no matter what country they were from. And in 1882, the United States became a member of the International Association of Red Cross. But Clara didn't stop there. She had an idea. Why should the Red Cross only help people during wars? Why not use the Red Cross to help people in all kinds of disasters? So she explained her idea to other countries, and many foreign leaders gave her medals for her work. Clara was president of the American Red Cross for 23 years and a Red Cross worker until she was 83. So the next time you take Red Cross swimming lessons, learn Red Cross first aid, or read about the Red Cross coming to rescue in a disaster, remember Clara. She was a brave, young Universalist girl who grew up to start the American Red Cross. We are proud to count her in our numbers. So with that, our story ends. And do I have someone that would like to help carry the flame this morning?
Me.
All right. Thank you, Scarlett. I love your enthusiasm. All right, come on over here. So from generation, step down. From generation, we light this flame of religious freedom. And we will follow out Scarlett as we sing, Go Now in Peace.